Hello, and welcome back to the Good Talkers podcast. As always, my name is Ashton Haugen, and I am joined by the wonderful Deanna Cooney.
Hey, hey.
The fantastic Tessa Livingston.
Oh, well, hello there.
And our amazing editor from NZ Audio Editors, producer Jordan.
Hello.
Tessa, I heard you had a very interesting week this week. Would you like to explain to the class what has been going on?
I had a really lovely weekend. We had a very cool weekend. Myself, my partner, another couple friend, and a couple of others went to a thing called Adrift here in New Zealand. So it's like a mini 3-day festival, really, really fun.
And music festival?
Yeah, music festival. So,
what kind of music?
Like your duff kind of stuff.
Yeah, like in America, would it be like EDC? Would be like
EDC, house, a little bit of drum and bass.
Oh yeah,
it's my jam. There's never any lyrics, and I'm just like wandering around being like, that's me. But I have this really, really cool costume that I have. It's like a gold robe that lights up, and I've got like a big golden crown. I've got sparkly black under-ish sort of stuff, and it's really, really cool. But
you went all out.
Oh, I do. I really
wear sneakers and freaking shorts to festivals.
I was one of those girls that has underwear and tights on and been like, this is a costume.
Yeah. It's like that all the way up and go, they're superhero boots.
It's like, what's that whole that Mean Girls the line, Halloween's the one day a year that you can wear animal costume and get away with it. It's like that kind of thing.
As long as it has animal ears or something on your head, you had a crown underwear and it's fine. It's a costume.
That's what I was going for. So
I had a crown. I'm wearing a crown.
I should go get it. I'll wear it at the beginning of the next episode and you can see my cool crown. Yes. I might even get my cape because I'm into that sort of shit.
Oh my God, it's even got a cape.
It's got a cape. There's a cape that goes together and it's so good.
So, but what happened at this festival? Because I heard a little rumor that something has happened at this festival.
Well, it's not that exciting, but so it's called Adrift, and the major event, which happens in February, is called Shipwrecked. So on the land next to the lake, there's a whole heap of little boats that have been shipwrecked. So they've got different DJs inside each of the little boats, and it's really, really cool.
That is cool.
I was on this planet, but my physical body was all over the place. We're going to put it like that. And I was having a really great time. And there was a little step inside the boat that was about this tall.
Oh no!
But it was about 3 times longer than deeper than what a typical step would be. And I didn't see that, and I fell up it. And I have the most excellent bruising all up my arm.
Look at that thing on your elbow.
Can we see the fronts of my legs?
Oh, that looks like a handprint. It looks like someone's grabbed your leg and squeezed real hard.
No, that's me falling upstairs and sliding.
Oh, no, like multiple stairs?
Not just the one and just hitting it a few times in a row.
Oh, no.
At least you looked fabulous.
I looked great. I looked
Did
really
you try
good.
and pull it off like it was a deliberate dance move or something?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I went down and my partner was like, are you okay? And I jumped up and I'm fine. And just I refused. We went back to that wee ship the next day just so, we're wandering around the festival as normal. And he's like, do you remember falling up that last night? And I was like, kinda. So he took me back to it, and we had a look at it. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember now. And one of the girls that was sitting just up on the top of the steps, she was like, I remember you.
Oh,
she'd seen me fall over.
That's awesome. That's one way to make an impression, isn't it?
Yep. So that was my weekend. I've been hitting the arnica hard. They're finally starting to look less purple and blue. I had a great time.
It sounds like you had a great time.
I did. And what?
So here's my trick that I use to not fall down when I'm also having a great time that I may not remember the next day. So my trick so my boyfriend Ian, he calls it the Quasimodo, because what I do is I drag one foot on the ground and for some reason that helps me keep my balance and I never fall. But
Wow.
I look like
You're like,
a mess.
if this foot does not leave contact with the ground,
Then I won't
and
fall.
I don't become airborne in any way whatsoever, I can't possibly lose my feet and fall on my face. Is that the premise?
That is the premise, and it's worked
Right.
every single time. So
So you look like you're limping around, but you've not fallen
Yes.
over.
I look
Oh,
like
that's
my
hilarious.
boyfriend
It's like-
says. Yeah, I look like Quasimodo. Like I look like I am some
dragging
kind
a
of
foot.
gremlin, like troll, like
You know,
coming.
that could work for Halloween and fancy dress and costumes and stuff. Like just, I saw you at a party with a green face recently. Just like
Oh,
whack
yeah?
that on and
That
drag
could've-
your leg around and
There you
costume
go.
done.
There you go.
Oh, that is so fantastic.
We have too much fun, I gotta tell ya. I don't know how to transition, but you know what else can be fun? Doing your warm-ups.
That was awesome.
You nailed it. That was
That was
outstanding.
gold. Nailed
So
it.
that's what we're talking about today on the Good Talkers podcast. I promise this podcast is about voiceover. We don't just talk about crazy shit. We talk about voiceover. And today we are going to be talking about our warm-ups and basically overall vocal management. And that's what we're talking the Good Talk on today. So let's talk about what warming up actually is first. So what exactly would you say we are, quote unquote, warming up?
Yeah, it's really funny, right? Because people go, warm up my voice. And it's this really big umbrella term, and it doesn't actually mean anything, right? Like when we say, I'm going to warm up my voice, right? Like the voice, when you say voice, really, it's a whole bunch of different mechanisms that create the sound and shape the sound and support the sound. And so really a warm-up is about working out what all of those components are and making sure that they're ready to be used effectively. It's just like warming up when you want to go for a run or lift some weights or something like that, You wouldn't just like jump out of bed and hit like the fastest sprint that you can up a hill without like doing some preparation. And that's what
you
warming
could,
up
but
is, right?
you might
Oh,
hurt
yeah, but
yourself.
you'd probably hurt yourself.
You
Exactly.
gotta blow a quad or something. I don't know. It's not worth it.
Blow a quad.
Chris Pratt wouldn't blow a quad. I wonder how many episodes I can slip him into. I like to think about warming up as warming up the subsets of the vocal system.
Yeah.
So technically there are three. So you've got breathing, your vocal cords themselves, and then your filter, everything that lives in your articulatory
Did
system.
you warm up today?
No.
This, people, is why we need to warm up.
This is why we need to warm up. I'll just move my face more as I articulate. So we've got those three, but I also like to include a fourth, which is body and mindset. So I add those two into it as well. So I tend to talk about four, but technically you've got three subsets. That we want to
Yeah,
be
I
warming
talk
up.
about the three, right? And but that mindset, that thinking switch is actually really, really important too. I like to frame them as respiration, phonation, and articulation. So
Bang on.
breath,
Yeah.
like what we do with our vocal folds at that phonating kind of level, and then what we do to shape the sound through that whole articulatory process. You
Yeah,
know,
cool.
And if you drop any of those, you're limiting your vocal capacity. If you don't warm up your respiration or your breathing, you don't have adequate support for your voice. And so you'll use the muscles around your vocal folds and you'll use the muscles in your face heaps and heaps, and they'll fatigue really quickly because it's not really their job, right?
And they're little.
And they're really little. They're tiny little things, and they get tired real fast because they're not meant to be doing the work, that heavy lifting of supporting the sound that you're making. They're just supposed to create the sound and shape the sound.
Yeah.
So if you don't warm up that respiration space, that breath space, you're really, really doing yourself and your voice a disservice,
So Deanna, when you do you have like a regular warm up routine that you like go through,
Yeah.
or like a set of? So how long does it usually take you to do that?
Well, it depends on what I'm doing, right? So I tend to make warming up just a part of my daily life. So it's a practice that I engage in daily. So when I get up in the morning, one of the things I'm really, really conscious of is where's my breathing sitting right now? And Like, what kind of clarity of sound am I producing? And usually it's pretty shit because it's first thing in the morning, right? You know what it's like. If you've ever answered a phone half asleep, you know what you sound like before you're warmed up. Right? Hello, going to do it. Right? Like, it's terrible.
Totally.
So for me, the very first step is checking in with tension in my body, right? Because tension gets in the way of everything, like fucking everything. So the first thing I do is a tension scan. I work out where I'm tight, where I'm mobile, and then I do a bit of work on loosening up those tight bits, right? And I'm 48 years old. I'm a rock climber. I had a hysterectomy a few months ago. Like, there's a whole bunch of physical stuff going on in me. And the thing to be aware of is that will change for you daily, right? Those tension patterns. Yes, you have repeated tension patterns in your body. For instance, my lower back is always tight. It's a tension pattern from an injury a long, long, long time ago when I was a teenager, right? So that is always, always there. But then there are daily tensions that show up and disappear as well. So for me, first step, check where those tensions are, try and release those tensions. Because if I don't do that, I can't breathe properly and I can't articulate well. You know, so that is always, that's part of my daily practice. And then I check in with my breath. Work out where my breathing's sitting. Is it dropping well down into my body? Am I getting good expansion in my belly? Is my pelvic floor moving as I breathe as well? And if it's not, I do what I need to do to get it into that space. And that might mean some massage. It might mean just focusing on letting my breathing drop. It might mean finding those areas of tension and consciously like breathing into them and having them let go. I like to use the visual imagery of a balloon. So if I've got an area of tension in my body, as I breathe in, I imagine a balloon inflating in that area of tension. And then as I breathe out slowly, I imagine that tension leaving my body and the balloon deflating and that area loosening up.
I just did
that's
that, and that
great.
was so marvelous.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's really, really, really good. And it just gives you this lovely visual reference for expansion and contraction and loosening and flowing. Right? And those kind of visual images are incredibly helpful for our brain and our body connection.
Yeah.
You know? So that for me is a fundamental. I do that every day, day in, day out.
It's like the same as like brushing your teeth. It's like it's just what you do. Yeah.
And I do it multiple times during a day. Like, I check in with my body really regularly throughout the day. The second thing I do is warm up my vocal folds by just talking gently, humming, making sounds, exploring my range. Like, I regularly walk around in the morning making all sorts of like funny noises and stuff. But it allows me to wake up my vocal folds gently, you know? And that happens every day without fail. And then if I've got something in specific that I need to do, if I'm going into a voiceover job like early in the morning, I will do a fuck ton of straw phonation because it really, really ramps up the process of warming up my vocal folds. It just it's like a speedy kind of version of getting my vocal folds warm.
I've been doing that.
Fuck.
Producer Jordan.
Gotcha. Straw phonation.
Hey.
You want to talk
Who
about
wants
that,
to take
Tess?
this one? Oh, yeah, sure. Who's taking this one? So straw phonation. Oh, there's one day I don't have my freaking
I've
straw
got
inside my
mine.
I
booth.
literally
There
just
we
put
go.
it right out here.
I've
So
got
that's
my
our straw there, and it usually goes into a tall glass with about 5 to 7 centimetres of water in the bottom so that you've got some resistance against your airflow. But straw just meaning humming through the straw, and phonation, so when we say phonation, that's phonation. That's your chords coming together to vibrate and make the sound that they make. So straw phonation literally means humming through a straw.
Okay, sweet.
Or like and humming as far as you can with your lips around a straw. You know, you actually can also replicate the process. If you don't have a straw and a glass of water available, you can purse your lips down to like you can semi-occlude the space. So occlusion means like an occlusion. I think the word occlusion just means space,
Small in the
maybe
space,
small space, and occluded means closed down, right?
Yeah.
So what we can do is create that with our lips by pursing our lips and leaving a little tiny space in the middle and then phonating through that. So we're going, right? So it's not a hum, because to hum you have to fully occlude your lips.
Right.
You can't make that noise without fully occluding your lips. And if you've got a straw and you wrap your lips around that and then put the other end of the straw in water, you're basically forming a seal.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't have capacity for that kind of thing, you can semi-occlude as small as you possibly can and make noise through that, and that will help as well.
Another amazing exercise for this is called the pufferfish. Have you ever heard of the pufferfish before?
No, I don't know.
It's so freaking cool. I learned about this just recently. So 2 fingers over the lips like this.
Yes. Oh,
Can you feel
so much back pressure?
So much back pressure. Okay, so Jordan, what I want you to feel, because you're going to do this now too.
Okay.
2 fingers over your lips like we're shushing, and and then what you're going to do is that you're just going to blow a good amount of air, but you're going to use a hum at the same time. So you're Can you feel that? Like all of a sudden, as you do it, it kind of goes into the back of your
cheeks out.
pushes your cheeks, and it pushes this space out here. So it's a really good voice box
describe
depreciator.
It, Tess, no one can see when you say this space here.
The space here. So the space in your cheeks gets puffy. We're pushing out the back of the pharyngeal space, so the back of your throat. And also what's happening is that as that back pressure comes in, your voice box, or your larynx, fun word, is depreciating, starting to press down a little bit. So we're relaxing it down this way. So it's a pufferfish is also an SOVT, a semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
really cool.
so good.
I love it.
Because not everyone has a straw handy, you know.
That's true.
I've got them everywhere.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a voice geek person.
You're bad for the planet.
It's you, of course.
Guilty as charged. Voice nerd.
Of the 10th degree, nth degree, millionth degree, whatever, right?
So okay with that.
But not everybody has that kind of thing. And you know, the straw I have it's called the voice straw, and it's not inexpensive by any stretch of the imagination. You know, it's great, and it comes in a couple of different diameters, so you can start bigger and go smaller and that kind of thing. But if you don't have a straw, it's really useful to have access to doing semi-occluded vocal tract exercises anyway. And pursing your lips and doing the pufferfish, excellent access for that.
Do you know what other kind of straws are inexpensive?
What?
Straws from pubs.
Oh, just take them home with you.
McDonald's.
I went to a thing one night, and this is when I was just starting my quite serious sort of voiceover journey, or like voicing journey, and getting really intense on it. And so gin straws, which are shorter and thinner.
Skinny, yeah.
Good. So they're better for back pressure. If you don't have water, they're really good because they're really thin. So, and at this particular thing that I was at, they had metal gin straws, and I told a couple of people, I was like, look, just put one in your pocket so that I can take it home with me. What fucking happened is that by the end of the night, I had about 30 of them.
Oh,
Because people just kept taking them, because obviously, like, I told 1 or 2 people, and 1 or 2 people told 1 or 2 other people, and by the end of the night, people were like shoving these straws into my handbag. I felt really
Awkward.
bad.
Did you return any of them?
No, I'm too scared.
You're too scared. Oh,
You're a scaredy cat thief. That's what you
Just
are.
mail them to them. Put them in the mail.
It has their name printed on it. I don't know what to do with these things. They just live in my drawer.
Wow.
Hide them
Just
forever.
like put them in a bag and like leave it on the doorstep and
Yeah.
run.
I'm going to have to.
No,
I feel
wait,
so
don't do
bad
that.
about
That
it.
would be bad. Don't do that.
Tie a little bow
thought that was a
around it
great
and put a
idea.
note on it that says,
I'm sorry. So yeah,
Oh,
that's also where you can get straws from. I don't condone stealing. Don't do
onwards.
that.
Question over.
Sorry.
Question
Okay.
answered.
Question
Good work,
answered.
team.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jordan.
So is there anything else we want to talk about around like breath stuff? Tess and Ashton, have you got anything that you do around the respiration or breath kind of space to warm that up?
Well, I didn't really used to a lot besides doing like SOVTs and things like that. But just recently Tessa has gotten me into doing a lot more breath work, which has been really helpful, even though I've only been doing it like consistently for about a week now.
Yeah, it's been about a week.
Yeah, it's been about a week. And it's still like I can already tell that like it's I don't have to take in as many breaths. You know what I
awesome.
mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
so that I can keep talking for longer periods of time before I have to take in another breath, which is, I mean, awesome for me. So I've been doing that, just the breath work part, but I love that Tessa's also gotten me into doing like like mind and body work almost a little bit, like stretching and just making sure that I feel grounded and all of those things because and for me, it has to be really intentional. Because if I just say, "Oh, I'm gonna just warm up," then I will just like fly through it. I'm like, "Yeah, that's good enough," and then be done. Because I feel like so I feel like I have ADHD. So like if it's not exciting to me, then I don't want to do it. And I'm just gonna. It's like a chore. I'm just gonna get it over with as quick as I can, and then not do it anymore. So yeah. But I think it's really been so helpful to me daily doing my work and things like that. And so I'm continuing like this practice that we've been doing for about another 3 weeks. And like I can't wait to see how it's going to be at the end of those 3 weeks. And then hopefully by then it will become such a habit that it won't fall off for me. Like I won't stop doing it. I'll just continue to do it because I've been doing it for about a month intentionally. And so hopefully by then it will be, just part of my routine, part of my habit. So yeah, I think it's been going really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Keep in mind that it takes, about 4 weeks to create a habit, right? But it takes 6 months for that habit to become something that happens unconsciously. Yeah. And it takes 2 years for it to be embedded in who you are.
Wow.
And how you live life.
Wow, I didn't know that number.
Yeah, it's really, really long time. So that's why daily practice is really, really important. And second to that is if you drop a day, don't worry, just come back because you've got 2 years ahead of you. So
That's
it
true.
actually,
I love that.
it doesn't matter if you go, oh shit, I haven't done anything in a week. Holy shit. Oh, fuck it. I've ruined it. It's broken. You haven't. You just get back in, get back on the horse, keep going, right? It's definitely a cumulative thing. And the other thing that I find interesting there in what you said, Ashton, that I see a lot in people that I work with is they do the same warm up all the time. Yeah. And it becomes rote. Right? And that's not good in this process because it must be intentional. If you don't have your mind hooked in to the process, you don't get the same benefits.
Right.
I actually have a slight counterpoint to that because I love what you're saying. And I know, isn't that exciting? I love the idea of changing up routine to make sure that your intention's different and you're engaging with your muscles differently and all those sorts of things. But for me as an individual, I've had to make my routine really specific and really, really practiced because if I don't have that routine, I get nervous and I don't know what to do, therefore I don't do it. So I have to use it in that manner. And I've had a few other clients who have been the same. I'm like, just wing it, do what you want to do. And they're like, no, I can't, because then the fear sets in. And so for me, really heavily structured routine is really helpful. Hence why I'm telling Ashton all the things in the way that I do it.
Because I'm the opposite. I'm like, no, I don't want routine. I want novelty or I get bored.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So there's two things going on there, right? Like structure, very fucking important.
Yeah.
If you don't have structure, you definitely get lost. And almost everybody is like that, particularly when you're learning something, right? Yes. So in that like acquisition stage where you're building the skills and building your like mind-body awareness of what it is that's happening, then absolutely do the same thing over and over again. Bed down those neuromuscular pathways, right? Get the learning in. Yeah. And then do that for a few different routines. This is my recommendation, right? If what you like is structure and routine, fantastic. But make sure that you've got that structure and routine built around a few different processes so that you can switch it up and your body doesn't just get totally used to doing the same thing day in and day out, right? Yeah. Because the effectiveness of it disappears. If you just literally do the same thing day in, day out, it stops being as effective as it could be over time, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that gives you the capacity to have structure and not get nervous and know what you're doing and also create diversity and interest and exciting new different things.
Yeah. Great. Yes. I totally agree with that because you have to be doing new things. And I find for me at the moment as well, because I am so curious about voice and how it all works and functions, I find the most exciting things in the most minute details. Yeah. So I don't have to change my routine too often because I can do a slight change and I'm like, my whole routine is new.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
But that's what structure does for you, right?
It's great, if you
build that structure, then you get to play inside it. You get to go, what happens if I hum at a slightly different pitch? What does that do for me? Or what happens if I add an extra second of breath hold in this particular process that I'm doing or something. something, but you can't make those little nuanced granular, there's that word again.
Oh, I love the granular.
Yeah. You can't make those changes unless you've got structure to play inside of, because otherwise that little change sends you off on a tangent and suddenly you're doing something completely different and you're lost.
Absolutely.
Right. I totally agree. So once you have that foundation of knowledge, that foundation of, yes, I know what I'm doing, I know what I need to do, I know why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and how to do them. So you have that foundation. What happens when you start becoming, I don't want to use the L word, the lazy word. So I'm going to use unmotivated. Like you become unmotivated, undisciplined, all of those things. And you're just like, like for me personally, it's like the novelty of the new thing has worn off, and now I'm bored and I want the next fun thing. But I still have to keep warming up. It's part of my job. It's something I have to do. What do you guys do to help you with like motivation or to help you become more disciplined in your routine?
I just think about the times that I didn't warm up and shit went fucking bad because it's happened, right?
Yeah.
It has happened. Not a lot of times because I'm pretty freaking religious about the process of warming up because it's gone bad a couple of times. And I have had to, I've either done a bad version of what I can do or a less good version of what I can do. And I hate that. I hate walking out of a space and going, I did not perform at my professional level then, and it's my fault because I fucked up, right?
Yeah.
I got distracted and let myself be lazy or distracted or, I did something else and I didn't do the thing that actually is vital for me being able to perform at the level that I want to perform at. And I place an enormous amount of value. It's an integrity issue for me.
Yes.
If I walk into a space and I don't give them my very, very best, I've let everyone down. And that's not, and my job, now that I know how to do what I do, my job is to do it the best that I possibly can.
Yeah.
So when I don't warm up, it messes with that really badly. And all I have to do is remember the last time that I did that and how shit I felt, and I'm warming up again.
That's a good way around it. I've got two things on that. Mine is slightly the opposite. I go, well, if I didn't warm up properly, it's not my fault that it didn't go wrong. That doesn't go right. That's working out of my system. But yeah, isn't it a good one? It used to be a really solid system for me. If I walked into a space and I was like, well, I didn't warm up or I didn't learn my lines, I didn't have time or whatever it is. So if things go wrong in the space, it's not really my fault because I wasn't ready.
So weird.
That's fucked up, eh?
You weren't ready, right?
That's like some serious self-sabotage right there,
I know, right? So we're working with that. We're being kind about it. But on the question that you asked, Ashton, I find picking a skill that is above my skill set encourages me to warm up again. So for example, finding a new character voice, finding a new skill. At the moment, I'm obsessed with vocal fold articulation, false vocal fold articulation.
Oh, Tom was still waiting for it.
I was waiting for the buzz. It didn't happen. No, we good? Oh,
you know
okay.
what? You know what?
He
false
knows what
vocal
that
cords
is.
are?
No, I was actually thinking about another question I was going to ask about.
Oh,
Write your questions down. Write your questions down so you can
questions
ask them. But I think you should talk about false vocal folds because in my membership the other day. In my membership the other day, we had Tom Burt, who is an Australian voice actor, come in and talk to us about all sorts of different stuff. But he was talking about character voices, and he was talking about the sounds that he makes with his false vocal folds, not his real vocal folds. And I know what false vocal folds are, but I don't necessarily know how to use them. Yeah. And I just thought it might be useful just quickly to have an explanation of that.
Yeah. So I don't know how it works either. This is my new obsession.
We don't know anything about what we're talking about.
So all I know is there are two things that happen with false fold articulation. So articulation just coming together. So in the sense that a regular person, your average everyday person, having false fold articulation is probably going to mean that they've got something like muscle tension dysphonia. We've got lots of squeezing in the neck and things getting really, really tight because they don't have a lot of natural space and freedom. For your average everyday person, ending up with false fold articulation means that you've probably got a lot of you've probably got something wrong. Something's not going right. It could
And
be
so
use,
what
it could
are
be
the
anything.
false vocal folds?
So the false vocal folds, I'm going to get everybody at home to do this alongside with me.
Okay, great,
We're
great, great.
interactive. So you're going to put your fingers out like a peace sign, and then you're going to flip them so that they're flat. So we're flat. Good. And then what
Pointing
you're going to
forwards.
do, pointing forwards, thank you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your other fingers on your other hand and place them underneath your pointer finger with your fingernails. So your fingernails are on the underside of your pointer finger.
And by the way, we'll share a video of this so that everyone can see it as
Yeah,
well.
this is on YouTube now, by the way, everybody. So you can see it all there.
You can watch.
What is this? Jordan's fingers are now
Everybody do the
butterflies.
waves.
Listen to it.
Wafting his vocal folds. Okay,
Just
back to
fucking
point,
around, to be honest.
So what happens is that the false vocal folds start to imagine that your fingers are trying to roll over the top of the ones they're attached to. So that's what your that's so hard to say. False vocal folds are doing. They're coming up because they sit slightly up anyway, but they're coming up over the top of your vocal folds to vibrate in that space where the
So
vocal
it's like
cords
extra
normally are.
tissue that's like
Extra tissue
coming
going
up and around the outside of your vocal folds, and
Yeah.
that's touching instead of your vocal folds
That's what's
touching.
touching. Yeah. So in
Just
regular
Google it,
everyday
peeps.
people, that is not helpful because usually we've got some strain and stress happening that's causing that. A paralysis of one of your vocal cords can cause that too.
Oh,
I
that
think.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in people like metal singers or people who do
Mm.
growling sounds or screaming, that sort of thing, what they do is that they get themselves into this is what I understand so far, and hopefully by the next couple of episodes I'll have some more information on it. They are relaxed enough in their vocal structures and they have really good pharyngeal space, so space in the back of the throat, that they can manipulate these to do things without
The false vocal
the
folds.
false, yeah, those things. Every time I go to say
False vocal folds.
I get stuck. False vocal folds. Oh, it's a dumb phrase. They can come over the top and vibrate without getting any extra tension happening because you've got lots of space and lots of relaxation initially.
Right.
So that's the difference, I think. It's kind of like glottal fry. You have to be in a glottal fry, that thing. You have to
Yeah.
be in a relaxed position to get it to go. I think it's the same with false fold articulation.
I didn't know that about the relaxation, and that makes a great deal of sense.
doesn't
because
it?
the other thing that I do when I'm warming up, and just to tie it back to what we were originally even talking about today, that was awesome, by the way. I'm so happy we'd had that conversation. One of the other thing that I do super religiously when I'm warming up is releasing tension specifically. So I do the body tension kind of thing, get rid of all that stuff. But also I'll make sure that my jaw is loose, and I'll make sure that my tongue root is released, right? Those are integral parts of my warm-up process. And if you don't understand the impact that tension in your jaw and in your tongue root has in your voice, in your vocal expression and the way that your voice works, you wouldn't ever think to even do something with those bits, right? And I meet so many voice talent who don't come from an acting background, right? And who haven't had breath training and vocal training and that kind of stuff. And they have no idea that the tension in their jaws from them clenching their teeth or whatever is 100% impacting their vocal performance and their vocal quality, right?
It's astronomical.
So
how much it
because I
affects.
relax, it's incredible. So I do a lot of work around that, right? Like I'm always checking in with my jaw and releasing my jaw, and I'm regularly sticking my tongue out of my mouth and just saying things so that the root of my tongue releases. And I think that's why I've got such good access to glottal fry, because I'm always really relaxed in there.
This is why I don't have good access to glottal fry, because the base of my tongue is horrifically tight.
There you go. Isn't that
From all of that,
interesting?
High pulled up jaw smiling.
Oh.
But yeah, because I'm looking into you're making k sounds and k, ngah, ngah, k, ngah, ngah. Those are really good tongue releases, aren't they? Because we're activating
Yes.
it and moving it.
And it also helps heaps with your soft palate as well. And I find creating space in the back of the mouth in that pharyngeal space, so releasing the tongue, releasing the jaw, releasing the soft palate, all of that stuff helps so much with resonance.
Yes.
It really, really creates a much richer, much fuller sound. And that's another reason why it's really, really vital for warm-up process, right?
Yeah.
Lots of people talk about the fact that their voice sounds tinny, or it lacks gravitas, or it doesn't have that kind of deep, resonant, lovely, warm quality, it's probably like closed down pharyngeal
Compression of
space.
space, right? Less space, less resonance.
Yeah. And it's super interesting because, I think where most people just immediately go with their warm up is, I'll do some horsey lips. I'll make sure that that I can articulate things well, but there are so many things that come before that point. If you think about your vocal chain, your lips are the last point, right? There's a bunch of stuff that happens before that if you don't engage with it and warm it up and get it ready to do the work, you're seriously impacting the quality of the sound that comes out of you.
So what would you guys, now that we've like put a little nice bow on that, I know I personally don't have a problem with this because I don't really care if I look silly or like an idiot. But I know that some other people are like, have that fear of like sounding weird in front of my family or like having those physical or mental blocks of like, I don't want them to think I'm a weirdo. Like I personally, like I don't
But
care.
you're an actor.
I'm an actor. I will go to, I will go to the Shrek rave and paint my face green and like I really don't care. So, but I know that a lot of people do care about that type of stuff. And I'm probably not the best person to like give them advice because all I know is I'm just like, get over it, because that's so easy for me to say. But I know that there's other people who can't just get over it. What would you say to those people?
Well, I can speak to those people because I am one of those people. And I think for me personally, it's really fascinating. Like the fact that I am so engrossed in all of this stuff. It's that whole adage of like, you teach what you need to learn. And that's where I'm at. Like I want people to do all of these things so fundamentally and so fun because I struggle to do them fundamentally and with fun. So that's why I teach it, because, it helps me move through those processes. But for people who are afraid of making noise, afraid of looking silly and all of those sorts of things, you have to start small. And that's what I've done. I've started really, really small. One of my favorite ones that I remember doing, I used to do this as a kid as well, but I didn't know what it was doing at the time. But one of my favorite ones to start working with sound and starting to build a bit of volume and practicing is using my hand or standing against a flat surface and phonating that way. So making sound that way, because you get a lot of feedback through the reverberation off of the wall or off of your hand. So if you want to start making sound, start making it small so that you get used to it before it starts getting bigger, and then
before it impacts the environment around you.
Before it impacts the environment. My other favorite tip for that is always going, if you are, because I'm an actor as well. I love to play. I love to do all this stuff, but I have a lot of blocks in terms of getting to those places. So for me, what I really like to encourage people to do, and I encourage myself to do it as well, is to, if you're in an environment where you know there are other people, go tell them what you're doing.
Yes.
So go into those spaces and go like, hey, for about 20 minutes, I'm just going to be making some sounds. Just ignore me. Put on the TV, put on some music. I don't do something else. Because then it takes away that kind of like shame factor.
Yes.
And you're able to practice a little bit easier, because it's hard. And like for me, I always struggled really badly when I was at Actors Program learning my lines, because at some point you had to say them out loud.
Yeah.
And I found that really, really hard. So, and I used to do it like this, or I would record myself and then listen to myself because I could cope with it that way. But yeah, it's been a really interesting journey for me.
I had a student of mine the other day say to me, so I went to this voiceover session and they handed me the script, and all of these ad execs who were there for the session, she's at a big studio, all the ad execs were standing around and I was standing next to them. They weren't even in the booth yet, right? They're just standing around in the foyer area of the studio. And she said they handed me the script and I wanted to get going on it straight away. I wanted to start like warming up my, like the, not her vocal processes, but her like familiarity with the script and her understanding the words. And so she started doing her preliminary reads, and this whole group of people who were chatting very animatedly just shushed immediately.
Ooh.
And she got really anxious because she was like, oh my God, everyone just shut up and started listening to me. And she said, what do I do about that? I'm like, okay, two things. First, that's what they're there for. And that's
Yeah.
what you're there for, right? Like literally you are there to read the words that they have been agonizing over for ages. So of course they're going to listen to you. They've been waiting to hear what this is going to say. They picked you out of a bunch of people, right? They
Right.
want to hear what it sounds like when it comes out of your mouth. So firstly, of course, they're going to listen. So you need to make some adjustments to your ideas about and that's just imposter syndrome poking its head up. Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's just like, oh, what if I do a bad job, right? And so part of it is about getting past that particular thing, all right? And the second part of it is actually that process is part of you being a professional.
Yeah.
You have to do it, right?
Yeah.
Whether you wait until you walk into the booth and do it or you do it in the foyer, right? It's still part of your job and you absolutely have to find a way to be okay with that or you can't do this job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You're
the truth of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Looking silly, being in front of people, doing all of these things, letting
This is a
people hear
performance
you.
gig.
That's it's different from than being on stage as an onstage actor, but essentially it's the same when you break it all the way down. It's the
Yes.
same.
Yeah.
This is a
So-
performance gig. So you have to get your head straight around
Yeah.
that. And if you do have trouble performing in front of people, and it happens for a lot of freelancers because they spend heaps of time in their booth by themselves, right?
Yeah.
And then you put another person in the mix and all of a sudden all of this shyness and like insecurity around the work that you're doing comes up. So
Yeah.
be ready for that. Do the work that's required. Practice in safe environments. Like find people who like only make you a little bit nervous and practice in front of them, right?
Yeah.
Ask people. Like literally go to your family and say, "Hey, I'm nervous about this. Can I practice, please?" Like what Tess said about letting them know that you're going to be making some weird ass sounds for 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Also use them as your safe learning environment because there's no real risk attached to it there, you know?
There's not. Yeah. I mean, it's only the risk of you sounding silly to yourself. You know what I mean? Like that. It's the risk of what you feel on the inside. So if you can get used to that or let that go, it's probably going to be super beneficial for you. And on that note of making silly noises, how would you guys like to do a round of noises we can't make?
I'd love to. Hey, before we start, I
Yeah.
think that there's a bunch of warm-up stuff that we didn't necessarily get to cover today. Otherwise,
Oh,
we'd
no.
be here for days and days and days and days and days, right?
For
So
sure.
should we do another episode on like a few other elements of warm-ups?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
What do you have in mind? Say them out loud, and then
about
I'll
this.
write them down.
Yeah, great. So I was thinking we just did lots of talk about the mental preparation and the physical preparation, right? We did a bit of like talk about like SOVT and phonation warm-up and stuff, but we didn't really talk about any of the specific processes we can do to warm up our articulators and get that going. So we might want to actually get a bit more specific in another episode about like, here's a warm-up routine that you can do. Maybe. I don't know.
love
What do you
that.
think?
I love that
I
because
think that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
it's so helpful. It's so yes, Jordan.
I have two questions before
Okay.
we carry on. So I want quick fire on the spot from each of you. One thing, I'm going out on a night out and I won't want to wake up tomorrow with no voice. I think there's a common thing for a lot of people probably here. Listen, you guys as well. Me, go to a sporting event, scream lots and come and shout lots and come home and wish that I might have done, I don't know, let's say 2 minutes or something to make sure that I wasn't maybe as bad or maybe it's avoidable. I don't know. You guys tell me one thing each.
Well, I technically have two. So first things first, it's probably going to happen.
Okay.
Because you're doing something at a higher capacity than what you would typically be doing, and the likelihood that you hurt yourself is extremely high. If you jog all the time, you talk all the time, we talk to talk, but if you're a jogger and then all of a sudden you decide to sprint for 30 minutes, you're going to hurt yourself. Same thing. But what I would advise is that if you are going to be making those sounds, get your breath support going and make your voice slightly higher than what it typically would be, because that kind of note carries, and also we're using our front resonators, which is going to help your voice out a whole heap. But unfortunately, the likelihood is that you're going to end up with some vocal fold swelling, because it happens to me every single time I go out as well.
Me too. Every single time.
Every single
Yep.
time.
I've got like the yelling and screaming because you're at a sporting event, like, yeah, that's tough, right? There's not much that you can do about it because you're excited. And so you're emotionally like engaged as well. And when we're emotionally engaged, we don't manage ourselves vocally, right? We just don't. It doesn't happen, okay?
Yep.
So, but if you're in a noisy space and you're trying to talk to somebody, what you want to do is get really close to them and speak quietly into their ear. Right. What we tend to do in those like noisy environments is try and shout at each other over the ambient sound. Right. And actually, our voice doesn't carry that well, especially when we move it into a pitch and a volume that matches the sound in the environment. Right.
Yes.
So actually, what we want to do is get quieter and get closer. And then the sound cuts through and the other person can understand what we're saying because we're pulling the distortion out of the way that we're shaping and expressing the words that we're saying.
Cool.
Yes. And then afterwards, say you do come home and you do have a sore voice. Well, first of all, listen to your voice. If it starts hurting, you got to stop. You just have to stop. No more yelling. If it starts hurting, you're done. But the next day, be really kind to your voice. Be intentional. Be
I liked it though. Say intentional again.
Be intentional. I can't do it. See what you did? See what you did to me?
I primed you for it. Now we're stuck.
Be intentional
Shinable.
about the way that you use your voice, especially in the morning when you first wake up after the sporting event. Be very kind to it. If you can, let it rest. And then when you do have to use your voice, because we all have to use our voice, there's very few days that we can all just totally shut up. But if you do have to use your voice, when you do I would encourage you to do a type of vocal warm-up and start really small and increase it just slightly because you don't want to do more damage because they're already tired. They're probably already swollen a little bit. You don't want to do more damage. So just be really kind to your voice the next day. Rest it if you can. Do a really good soft warm-up and know that it'll get better. Like, just give it time. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll get better. And the key thing to understand with that sort of behaviour, i.e. screaming, yelling, having fun, going to karaoke, all those bits and pieces, is that swelling goes when swelling goes.
Yeah.
You can warm it a little bit, but you can't get it fully back by doing a warm-up. Swelling will go down when swelling goes down. So be gentle, just like Ashton said, nice and soft to get it moving and to get them connecting again. When I say them, I mean the vocal cords, getting them connecting, and then just wait.
And drink a lot of water.
Drink a lot of water.
Make sure you're nice and
a
hydrated.
shit ton of water.
And do the straw phonation stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like any kind of back pressure you can generate will help realign your vocal folds and calm them down a little bit. And that can help the swelling go down a little faster.
Yeah, but you don't want to also push your range. Like I know a lot of people who do it will go way up high and then way down low. No, just
Stay
do
nice
a
and
really
modal.
soft. Yeah,
Yeah.
just stay in the middle and just be really soft and kind to your voice.
Because
That
they
was-
won't
that
stretch
was not
into your
quick,
high
Jordan.
range.
That
No, it
was
wasn't.
not quick, Jordan.
And I have a final thing to say on that.
Oh, here we go. Just
you know.
why
Final
did I
thing, final
even
thing.
think about quick in the first place? I should have said, right, well, I've got half an hour. I need some answers about this.
Ashton makes a fabulous point about not pushing into your higher range. So when your vocal cords get swollen, they become fat and thick.
And that does not help with high.
No,
It's the
I don't
opposite.
want to go there at all. If you have a swollen ankle and you try to stretch it all the way out, that fucking hurts. Don't do that. Just gentle stretches, gentle movements. Because if you try and go into your top range, you're just going to cause more issues. It doesn't want to go there, and it's just going to hurt. So Ashton's absolutely right. Well, Jordan, I'm done now.
Okay, I've got another one, but it might be good for the other episode. It's just
save it.
around testing and retesting. Like if you wake up and go, all right, cool, I'm going to try these 5 things and see if it makes a difference with my voice as an individual. Then do I do something afterwards to test that it's actually made a difference? And then can I define refine a specialized kind of warm-up that I know is specifically effective for my voice?
This is definitely for that episode.
Cool.
I reckon.
All right.
Write that down, Tess. Because
You got to watch the next one, everyone. Sorry.
That's an excellent premise. Like just that question is an excellent premise for an episode that we can talk about what are some specifics we can do and then how can we tell whether or not they're working for us and then how do we work the things that we need into a particular kind of routine based on what
What your goals
whatever.
are.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Goals and physically how we wake up in the morning. Like what is
Right.
it? Perfect. Amazing.
Next episode or
Next
a few
episode.
episodes. Who knows?
Yeah.
It'll be around somewhere.
Somewhere.
Look
Yeah.
forward to that episode in the
Yeah.
future. But right now, we have sounds that we must try to make and probably fail. So I know that Jordan actually came in today and he brought a sound for us. Would you like to explain the sound, Jordan?
Yeah, sure. So I've taken the reins on sounds we can't make, so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I don't butcher it. This is actually my amazing girlfriend, and I was going to say maybe everyone can think about what the actual noise is, but for me, it's like a dolphin. It's like a dolphin sound. I'll play it. I'll see if I can show it on the video as well, but she does some weird stuff with her mouth, and I'm intrigued to see if anyone else can do it, because I don't think she knows anyone else who can, and I certainly can't.
Yeah, right.
So
Okay.
let's try this.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's loud
Here
enough.
we go.
Here's a sound I can make. Can you make it?
So I'll show you as well what she's doing. Maybe hopefully this works.
Oh, she's moving her lip and like doing like you're making an E sound, right? That's kind of what she's doing, like E sound, like with her mouth.
It's hard, right? I just
don't
made
think I'm-
silly sounds too.
I don't think I'm
even is it?
physically able to do that.
I think I understand what it is.
Okay, what is it?
Okay. I think what's happening is that so we're pulling up the side of the cheek really, really high so that we can get a small resonating space, so we can get high pitch, right? Small resonating space, higher pitch. And we're moving the tongue off the side of the teeth. But I think what's happening is that it's moving at a really fast rate, which is causing that really nice, clear.
But that's like a
No, that's not it either, actually. No, that's wrong.
That's a
I take that all back.
sideways version of like a tisk sound. Like
Yeah, I take that all back
instead of-
completely.
when we go, we're using the front of our tongue like on the roof
Yeah.
of the mouth,
It's a sideways tisk. You're
and it's
absolutely
like it's a
correct.
sideways tisk.
Right.
That's
Well,
not
then
it.
anybody
Play it
else
again.
got any bright ideas?
Jordan, play it again. Play it
Okay.
again.
I'm playing it
Play it
again.
again, Sam.
Play
I'm
it
on
again.
Here's a sound I can make. Can you make it?
It's like she's clicking her tongue on
Yeah.
something though.
Yes,
It's a
definitely
click.
like a tongue click, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure when I've seen her do it, she puts her tongue out the side of her teeth.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's useful in any way, but yeah, just a little bit of her tongue out the side.
Well, that helps to
The
get
molars.
to get the molars, but that helps with getting like quick movement off of the palate and the rest of the tongue.
Oh God, I'm just making squelchy noises.
I know. This is going to be. Is this even going to be nice to listen to?
What are you doing? It still sounds super juicy. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it has no
Yeah.
juiciness in it. It's like
Yeah.
really clean.
Yeah.
And like it's like whatever the connection that's happening in there, tongue against teeth or roof of mouth or whatever it is, it's so clean.
Yeah,
That is.
I think so. Yeah, so what I've got happening there is I'm biting my tongue between my molars on one side, pulling my cheek back, and then the rest of the body of my tongue is moving on and off my palate.
Sounds like a little
juicy.
squirrel.
That's not it either.
It's in the
Was
right.
that it?
It's in the right ballpark, though.
I think it just sounds like it. I don't think that
I
that's
don't
what
think
she's
that's it.
doing.
Because
I
I'm
think she has
flicking the
some,
root. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm basically doing this.
Oh,
with my
yeah, no,
tongue
that's not
bitten.
it.
That's not it, is it? Oh, Jordan, can you play it one more time?
Yeah, just one
Yeah.
more, one more.
And then we'll have to decide that we can't make it, I think.
I think we've already decided, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Here's a sound I can make. Can you make it?
What the fuck?
I really don't know
Fucking
what
hell.
she's doing.
Did
If I
you
didn't
see
the
all
video,
three of us at the same time? We're like,
Throw our hands in the air. Fuck this shit.
She's going to love this. She listens to all the episodes. She's going to thoroughly enjoy being the winner.
Well, maybe what we might need to get her on so that she
Yeah.
can do it in person and we can
Explain.
watch her mouth, right?
Yeah.
She
'Cause
won't do
that
it.
would be really helpful. Why
I've
not?
suggested, and she was terrified at the idea of coming on.
Oh,
Should talk her into
well,
it.
we have
She
to.
probably could be talked into.
Yeah, let's do that
can
because
talk her
I would
into it.
really like to see. Like I know that you showed us a video but I want her to do it in front of me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to
bit
ask
more
her questions.
specific.
Like,
yeah, I want to ask questions. That's what
what's
I
your
want to
tongue
do as
doing?
well.
What's all the stuff?
are you
Yeah.
breathing in? Are you breathing out? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Good point.
I'm just like trying different shapes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I just sound like a clock.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Fucking
effectively, Alba, you win this round.
Yeah,
You
we cannot
win.
make that
Make the
sound.
sound.
you win. Congratulations.
We cannot
Congratulations.
make that sound. This is the
Oh.
best. I love this segment. Do you know how many people message me and go, "Oh my god, that segment is gold"?
I love it so
fun.
much.
It's
It's
so,
so
fun.
fun.
Mate,
Yeah,
the
it is-
day that
it's-
it popped into my brain was like
know,
one of
you're a
those moments
genius.
where you just go, that was good. Can't do
Play
it.
it one more time. Can that be our? Can
Nah.
that be our like finishing up sound?
Nah, enough place.
Aw.
You have to
finished
get
it
her in
upstairs.
person, and you can community talk her into coming in.
Yeah, you
Well,
mean
look,
community
yeah.
pressure.
Collectively, that's the word. Collectively
I'll
talk her
just
into
turn
it.
up at your house, Jordan, and I'll just come interrogate.
Yeah, harass her until she
We'll
does it.
send you a list of questions, Tessa, and you can just like show up and go, right, we have questions.
We're doing this.
We want to know. Inquiring minds.
It's actually really crazy because, like, some of the other sounds we could get relatively close.
Mm.
But this one, I don't
feel
think
like I'm
any of us have a
miles.
clue
I have no
how
idea.
to do it, honestly.
We're not even in the right ballpark, I don't
No.
think. Yeah.
It's crazy Spanish people, mate. They can do weird things.
Oh,
Oh.
right. Ooh,
Yeah.
so this is interesting, right? Because the thing about accents, or the thing about accents is oral posture. Like it's not the only thing, but there's oral posture shifts a lot, right? And if we can work out what her standard oral posture is for Spanish, we might have a better access to working out what the structures are that are creating that sound.
That's
Sweet.
interesting.
That is
Yes.
interesting.
I'll
Because I
interrogate.
can't roll my we've been over this.
Like
How I
that.
cannot roll
Yeah.
my tongue.
Yeah.
I cannot roll my
Oh.
R's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so maybe that's one thing that maybe that's how she's doing it. I don't know.
yeah.
Alba, you're gonna have to answer our questions. We have inquiring minds
questions.
must know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
on
can't
that
stop trying.
note, I have one more quick question that I wanted to ask about warming up. It's actually about cooling down because I do not.
Oh,
cool
yes.
down.
Look
So,
at Tessa.
before getting into like it too much because we're running out of time, just
yeah.
let me know. Do you do a cool down?
I don't.
Depends.
But I don't do
Okay.
anything that is especially vocally challenging.
And that
Right?
was the reason it depends.
Yes. So
Oh.
I don't do efforts. I don't do shouting because I'm not a voice. I'm not a character. Well, it's not even character. I don't do video games, right?
Yes.
And video games is where this tends to happen the most. I think that's my understanding of it. I read advertising material and corporate material, and so I don't ever push myself vocally into a space that requires a cool down.
Yeah. If you're doing something like singing or you're doing character voices or you're doing extreme efforts or even mild efforts, my rule of thumb with cooldowns, I would do a cooldown if you've been doing a modal voice activity for a long time. So like if you've been doing
So
an
like
audio,
an audio book.
yeah, because you're also helping to rest your vocal load. You've been
Yeah.
it's like stretching after going for a long run. You want to make sure that you're just making, if there's any tension that has been slowly developed during that time, we want to just take it off. That's the point of a cool down. But for your singers and your high vocal users in distortions or any of that sort of stuff, if you are pushing yourself outside of your modal muscle space, you need to get yourself back to it.
Yeah.
So for example, if you're a soprano and you're doing high note stuff all the time, for a cool down, you want to move down into your lower registers because we're stretching the muscles in both directions and then helping them come back to equilibrium, right? So
Nice.
cool downs. Yeah, cool downs are hyper important. It's also just nice to give your voice a reset as well. So
I do resets really, really regularly. It might.
Well, then that's a version of a cool down as well.
Yeah, it may be that I'm actually cooling down like periodically while I'm actually
via your
performing.
resets.
Yeah, totally. So I will like after almost every take, I'll do like a little body shake, and I will.
Yeah, I've got my straws in the booth with
I'll
me
do
all the
like
time.
a little bit of like vocal kind of stuff that just releases tension and brings me back into a grounded, ready state.
Cool. Well, then you're resetting yourself so frequently that by the time you get to the end of your thing, your body's like, I don't need a cool down.
Yeah.
But if you're not resetting frequently, you're more likely to need one. And so that's just a person-to-person sort of thing. Like after this, I would probably do a vocal cool down or a vocal reset because after talking for 3 hours straight, there's a little bit of tightness that's come in, just a lot, just a lot. I mean to say just a little.
Just a lot.
It's just a lot, you know. Nothing.
Just a little, but to put it back to Jordan, stop laughing at me. To bring it back to equilibrium, I'll do just even like just a couple minutes of straw in my modal pitch, a little bit up, a little bit down, done.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, nice.
Cool. Good to know because it's hard for me to warm up and I never cool down. So it's probably something I should get used to doing.
Baby steps though, right? Like just
baby steps.
You know, if you are listening to this and going, "Fuck, I'm not doing any of this. Oh my god, it's a disaster. It's the end of my career." No, it's not the end of your career. Just start somewhere.
Just pick
all right?
one little thing.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Even if it's hydration.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no, this is like not us looking down on anybody. Like we all have our like things that we're working on too. So if you're not doing any of these things, start somewhere. We'll have a upcoming episode about a warm-up routine maybe you can adopt. So look out for that one. And as far as today goes, though, we are out of time. So
no.
let's go ahead and sign off. And we thank you guys so much for listening. Please make sure you keep in contact with us if you have any kind of story from the booth or you want to show us if you can make this insane noise. We would love to see it. We would love to hear it. Please reach out to us through email at thegoodtalkerspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on TikTok and on Instagram, on Facebook. We're everywhere. Look us up. Google us. You'll find us.
Got a website as well, so you can go there and you'll be able to email us from there if you want.
Yeah.
We also have
Absolutely.
YouTube.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. We have YouTube now.
Yeah,
So
we
I
do.
totally forgot we have YouTube now. Look us up on YouTube. You can actually like see our faces as we're explaining all this. It could be really fun.
We pulled
I don't think we're
dumb
terrible
faces
looking.
too. I think
Yeah,
we pull dumb
oh.
faces. It's hilarious.
Yeah, you think that we sound weird? Just wait till you see what we look like, you know?
Ruh-roh.
On that note, we're going to say goodbye. Thank you guys so much for being here with us, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.